talking harpsichord, I played that too, cause everything, I do everything, yeah. Everything, I do everything, yeah. Cause I do that, they gon' clap. I do this, I do that, and they gon' dance and they gon' clap just because everything.
Welcome to the Birdie Brothers Podcast, coming to you from Turlock, California. My name is Luke Hall, and I'm pleased to be joined by my co-host here, pouring out some glasses of wine for episode 1, Benjamin Graham.
Cheers, baby.
Cheers.
Dude, we did it, dude. This is it right here.
We're here.
We don't want to sip in a microphone.
Episode 1.
Don't want to sip in the microphone.
No. These are things that we'll learn as we go.
So, Luke, let's talk about why we decided to make this podcast.
Absolutely. So I've always thought about having a podcast.
Well, shit. We should have done this a while ago.
Not necessarily with a co-host. Maybe just by myself. Maybe by myself with guests every podcast.
Tough.
But a couple weeks ago, you texted me and you said, "Hey man, we should get a golf podcast going." And then I was like, "There we go. That's all I needed."
Yep.
You sounded enthusiastic about it. You laid out the details of what you wanted it to be about, and here we are.
Yep.
So why don't you tell the people what was in that text?
What inspired me?
Yeah, what inspired you?
Well, this is our senior year of college, and we're here at Stan State, baby. Represent.
And for those of you who don't know, that is Stanislaus, California State University, Stanislaus. It's in Turlock, Central Valley, California.
209, baby. 209.
That's the 209. Yep.
Yeah. So, anyways, one day I was just like, I was thinking about my options past college. Like, what am I actually going to do? Because, my dad's always on me like, "Ben, what are you going to do with your life?" And I'm like, "I don't know, Pops. Probably play a little bit of golf throughout, So anyways, I thought I might as well get started on something that I can create, put something out there for the world. And I've always felt like I'm a creative person. That's why I think I like playing golf, because it is a very creative sport. And, so I just wanted to make something that I could actually show off,
Yeah, definitely.
And to be and to inform people about the game of golf and what the benefits are and why I think all people should at least give it a try.
Yeah. And honestly, I think you and I, growing up together in middle school and high school, playing golf together all throughout those years, I feel like we have interesting conversations.
Oh, absolutely.
About many things, golf just being one of them. And I just thought that the idea of getting together once a week and talking about something that we're both extremely passionate about, probably for different reasons. Definitely we have, some similar reasons for loving the game, but I think there are also some different reasons as well. And I think it'd be interesting to discuss those and get them on a platform. And then I also think that I kind of going into what the podcast is going to be about, I think we're going to try and have some guests on. And then also we'll probably be picking some topics each week to talk about, just hot topics in golf or just more random ones, but we'll kind of cross that bridge when we come to it, I guess. But so this first podcast, we just wanted to kind of introduce ourselves and then talk a little bit about where we see the podcast going, and then also why our podcast would be different from maybe another golf podcast that people might listen to.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's one of the things that I pointed out when we were first talking about this. Luke here is a mathematics major, and I major in economics. And I think that those are two areas, two fields where golf can be intertwined with those things. And I think we can come from an analytical, statistics, numbers-based analysis on some of these conversations. And not all of our conversations will be like that, but I think that it's important to shed light on meaningful new information that is going to either inspire people or be insightful. So I think that's kind of our underlying goal, right? To be insightful and to have people gain new knowledge from listening to our podcast. Is that right?
Yeah, I think also just the fact that we've played competitive golf and like we have experience in that realm, not like we're coming to you as professional athletes, but like we've played somewhat competitive golf, relatively speaking, and I think we've had interesting paths. So we went to the same high school in the Seattle area.
Yeah.
And then
we went to middle school together.
We went to middle school. I moved to Seattle in middle school and then met Ben, and then we played a little baseball together.
Yeah.
And then eventually both of us stopped playing baseball and just started to focus on golf. And played through high school, won a couple state championships.
That's right, baby.
Liberty High School.
Back
to back.
It's a back. Later without us.
Yeah. And then we ended up going our different ways at the beginning of our college careers. We both went to D3 schools, me staying in Washington and then Ben going down to Oregon. And then so I played 2 years at Pacific Lutheran University, and then Ben was at Willamette for 1 year. And rivals.
Yep.
We went at it a couple times.
That was cool. We kicked your butt mainly, but
I don't think you did.
Well,
I think
we were on a heater in the beginning.
Then it kind of went to nationals and you guys didn't, but that's
true. But we were on a heater in the beginning, weren't we? A little bit. Anyways, we're very competitive.
And then Ben ended up transferring after his freshman year down here to California, Stan State. And I stayed at PLU and then ended up transferring after my sophomore year. So we were reunited during for our junior and senior years. Then obviously COVID's kind of prohibited us from actually competing, but we've been down here together for the last year or so. So yeah, we have the competitive we have the competitive experience. We have a little bit of me math, you economics, so we can talk a little bit about that as well. And then we just have good camaraderie, I think. Just being good friends.
Yeah, no, the rapport between us is great. I mean, we've been friends since 6th grade, basically, right?
Yeah.
When we started playing baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been good friends ever since, and I think it's awesome that we've gone to college together and played golf together, and that we've won some chips back in the day. And
yep.
But yeah, I think it's cool that we're doing this now. I think this is like a next step,
mm-hmm.
in our lives,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this is the first podcast, and I think numero uno, and I think we want to talk throughout all of our podcasts. We want to talk about golf in a way that's kind of just more fun. Like I feel like most of the time when people hear about golf, or they hear that if I tell them I play golf or I'm a golfer, it's just kind of like, oh, it's like they don't really know a whole lot about it. They haven't played, or maybe they've played a couple times, and the only thing they know about it is that A, it's hard, B, it's expensive, C,
it takes a long time.
Yeah, it takes a long time to learn and get better. And I think being able to talk about golf, talking about playing golf, talking about professional golf, and then just a variety of topics within golf, talking about them as two seniors in college who play golf not only for the competitive aspect of it, but also just because they just love the game. Like I just like there's so many things about it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And then it just kind of it's tough when people don't ever get the opportunity to not like maybe they've tried it once or twice, but they've never actually pursued it and like played it more than once or twice a year and actually like tried to get better at it. And then also, gain friends through it, learned valuable lessons through it. Like the list kind of goes on. So yeah, that's something that I definitely want to hit throughout this podcast.
Yeah, for sure. There's lots of reasons why I think more people should get involved in the game of golf, and it's really hard. It's a hard game. It's not easy, and it's not easy to just pick up, especially as age goes on. As you get older, it's kind of tougher to pick it up as you go along. But it's been the most impactful thing in my life, and I don't know about you, Luke, but it has for me. So just the path that I've taken and the person that I've become, a lot of the traits of golf, being able to bounce back, being humble, not being boastful, because that usually ends in you screwing the pooch,
Yeah.
But
Perseverance.
Yeah, perseverance. It's a mental challenge. It's a physical challenge. It's a beautiful game, and I guess we should go a little bit more into some of the other things that we've done in golf. Some more background. I personally have caddied at Bandon Dunes the past 2 summers. My favorite place on earth, Bandon Dunes, and that's been awesome. And I've met some great people caddying there, and I've learned a lot about the game. A lot about the game that has helped my game personally, but it's always great to meet new people and to learn where they're from and why they decided to play the game. And so I have a lot of good stories when it comes to Bandon Dunes. And let's see, I'm also working at Turlock Country Club now, where we usually play golf, but we haven't had much of a golf season because of Stan State and Stanislaus County, and it's been a little tough being able to get back to the golf course, but we'll talk about that later in more depth. But yeah, no, golf has consumed a lot of my life. I was fortunate enough, my dad had a membership to a club called Meridian Valley originally, a great course in Washington. I grew up playing there, and I absolutely loved it. I got golf lessons from Brian Thornton. I played with guys like Nathan Cogswell and Colt Sherrill. But that's where I really learned to love golf. And then we ended up switching clubs to Sahalee, which is a great track in Washington as well. And I met some other great people there and kind of honed my game there in high school. But golf has definitely been at the center of my life for most of my life. So it means a lot to have something like this, a podcast, where I can sit down here with my longtime friend and discuss something that's been so important to me. So,
yeah. And I'm different for sure. I stopped playing baseball just a tad later, probably like 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
After Ben stopped, and so I just started focusing on golf my freshman year of high school, and we can get into why that was. It has to do with this guy who's pretty good, Frank Garber.
Oh, Gaba.
I don't even know him, but he like literally my freshman year of high school, I was still like pretty set on baseball, just playing baseball. I was pretty into baseball. And then I decided to join the golf team kind of like I wasn't even going to join the golf team.
Are you serious?
To be honest. I wasn't even going to join the golf team.
Oh my goodness.
I wanted to just focus on baseball.
Okay.
Because that's what I was really into. I liked golf, but baseball had just been like part of my life. Like when I moved around as a kid, like every time we landed in a new location, the first thing like I would do is join a baseball team.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just loved like everything about it. Like not only the competitive side of it, but just traveling around, kind of like golf, like just like the sights and the sounds of, and anyone who loves baseball knows what I'm talking about. Just freshly cut grass, going out, sunflower seeds, big league chew, all that. And so that's what I was in love with. And then I think my dad convinced me to join the golf team at our high school in my freshman year. And I joined kind of reluctantly, and then wasn't really liking it at first. It was kind of weird to me, like the whole like team setting within golf, because like obviously golf's an individual game, but when you play competitive golf up until professional golf, it's in a team setting, which is a little bit strange. It was strange to me, and so we started, and I think it was like our first match. It was either our first or second match, and we played against Juanita and
Gava.
Frank Garber.
Wait, was it at Maplewood?
It was at Maplewood Golf Course.
Oh,
in
I remember
Renton.
that round. I was on a heater that day.
Yeah, but this isn't about you.
Sorry, bro. Didn't mean to take over there.
So it was let's say it's the first match. I think it was either the first or the second, but whatever it was. This was probably my first time actually competing in golf, like actually competing. And the way our high school was, our high school golf league was, is you played 9 holes, and then that's it. Like I know some places played 18, but for us it was just 9. So we played the front 9 at Maplewood, and Frank Garber, who I'd never heard of until I got to the course. He was like this UW commit, like really good golfer, and saw him down at the putting green. Didn't think much. I mean, this is my first time competing, so like I didn't even really, I wasn't thinking too much about it. Like I wasn't nervous or anything. And then I played. I don't even really remember the round, but I remember I shot a good score. I shot 36, which is even par.
Atta baby. So am I going to say my
Ben,
score now?
Ben
Am I
shot
gonna say my
32.
score?
Ben
No.
shot 4 under.
No, it wasn't. No,
or
it wasn't.
34.
It was 34.
So
It was
2 under.
34. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good for the first match of the year,
Yeah.
freshman year.
Yeah.
And so I just remember like getting, like, it wasn't even like getting off the course. It was like just like later in that week. Like I was like, okay, this is my first competitive golf round, or 9 holes. And then I tied this guy who's going to UW on like a, whatever it was. Like I was going to say full ride, but I don't know that. Like all I know is that everyone knew who he was, and everyone knew that he was good. And it was my first competitive round, and I tied him. So I was like, dang, maybe I should pursue golf. Like I didn't know. And then probably within a couple weeks, I made the decision, and it was probably one of the toughest decisions I had to make up until that point, just because like I said, I loved baseball. And I remember like having to call my baseball coach, Maher, and I was like extremely sad. I was like crying because I knew like once I made that call, like I was playing on like a pretty competitive team. So once I made the call and said I'm not playing baseball anymore, that'd be pretty much it. Like it's not like I could go back 2 years later and be like, hey, I want to come back to baseball. So like that's just a decision I had to make, and I'm definitely happy that I ended up making that decision. And then pretty much ever since then, I've just been like addicted to golf. And that's another thing that I'm sure we'll talk about. Like golf's addicting.
Oh.
Like it's literally, it's right up there with pretty much anything, for me at least. I don't do drugs, but like
That's good, Hall.
yeah,
I won't tell your mom.
yet. I don't do drugs. I drink alcohol, but like that, like nothing. The only thing that I've ever like been like attached to in this way was nothing. I mean, golf's the only thing that I've ever been like attached to, and where like I'm thinking about it like every day. Don't want to say all day, but like majority of the day. Like I go to sleep watching golf videos, golf highlights. Like done that for years. So yeah, I just love the game. I don't work. And then, so yeah, what I was going to talk about, I'll let you talk in a second, but what I was going to talk about for me, like you were members at these courses, which is great. You always had me out to play. Mondays at Sahoy was $10 for me, which is how much it should be for a high school golfer to play. But I spent most of my childhood sneaking on to golf courses. Newcastle golf course. It's a pretty nice golf course. Costs like $200 to play. The nicer one does. There's 2 courses up
So
there.
he snuck out to that one.
I snuck out there with my boy, Chase McIntosh. We played pretty much every night in the summer for free. We wait till everyone went home, and then it didn't get dark till like 9:30 or 10 in the summer. So we'd tee off at like 6, and we'd easily get in 18 holes, and we just played golf every summer night and didn't have to pay. And when at Newcastle, they had a deal for juniors, which is $25 if you walked on, so you couldn't make a tee time. You'd have to just basically show up and hope that the tee sheet was open, and then you pay $25 to play. It was a standby rate. So I'd pay $25 every once in a while, and then for the most part, though, I'd say 80 to 90, probably closer to 90% of my golf was played for free. Or not for free, but just like illegally, like not for free. Like no one was telling us we could go. Well, sometimes they were, but sometimes, more often than not, we would just hop out on to the course. And that's kind of where I fell in love with the game, just like playing every night. And then I just like became addicted and started watching golf. Not golf that was on TV, but like Tiger Woods highlights back in the day, everything. So.
Yeah, no, I remember that I played with you guys several nights.
Oh, yeah.
I used to go out with you guys all the time. Yeah, those were good times. The sunsets in Newcastle are just a peach. I mean, nothing else. But yeah, no, same here. I mean, I wanted to also say part of my experience with golf was, I think it was my freshman year of high school, I decided that I wanted to be the girls' golf manager. For our high school. And so basically I did a lot of instruction and helping girls from our high school just figure out the basics, the fundamentals of golf. And that was a lot of fun. It was fun until it wasn't. But that was a good experience to be in like a teaching environment when it comes to golf. So I've done that. When it comes to Tiger Woods golf videos, I've seen them all, no doubt.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember in middle school, there's a movie, I think it's called A Tiger Woods Story or something like that. And I watched that thing every night before I went to bed. I literally fall asleep to it going. I haven't seen that movie in a long time. I should probably watch it just for nostalgia's sake, but yeah, I was consumed with golf exactly like you're saying, Luke. It was, like I'm saying now, it was the biggest part of my life. So it's interesting now that we're now about to graduate. Most likely our competitive years are going to be behind us.
Well, the way you were playing today.
I was kind of on a heater.
I was actually going to start the podcast like that, but I forgot. This guy sitting across the
talk
table
about
from
this.
me.
We don't need to
We
talk
don't
about
need
this.
to. We don't need to talk about it for a long time. But he shot 30 on the back, 6 under.
I did. It was a heater.
Yeah. So, continue.
Well,
65 total.
yeah, I'm not gonna.
Let's get around.
Yeah, I mean, golf is fun when you get in that flow and that groove of just like everything today felt good. You know, you're just gonna stripe it at the pin. I mean, I had so many 5-footers for birdie. But anyways,
I guess, can you talk about why you love golf so much?
why I love golf?
Because you're talking about, we're both talking about like how we're addicted to it. So
Yeah.
like why are you addicted to it, you think?
Golf is. I'm gonna bring up a BC quote. So BC, BC is Brandon Christensen. He's our golf coach here at Cal State Stanislaus, and he's a great guy. He's played golf at UCLA himself. He's caddied on tour for Kevin Chappell, and he's good friends with him. But he once told me, sitting down in his little office when I was struggling with my game, and he said, golf is the only sport that you can work harder at and get worse.
Mm.
And it made me think. It's like, yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Like if you were,
That's so true.
like if you were shooting hoops, or if you were a basketball player and you were shooting hoops, right? I mean, your form could be off, but if you were repeating the same thing over and over again, you know, you'd be making buckets, and it would, you know, translate to the games, things like that. But golf, bad habits can come so quickly and so often, and sometimes you don't even notice. And the more and more you practice a bad habit, the worse it's going to end up for you. So I guess it'd be more like a track athlete who's constantly running, constantly training their body to succeed at a certain function. But golf is a lot of mental, and it's a lot of, you can develop some bad habits as you go along.
That's such a good line.
Yeah.
From I've never heard it. Like, I know that is like so true just from like personal experience, but it reminds me of a quote. There's a quote, I don't know who said it, but it's like, I heard about it in my philosophy class, and actually, yeah, I heard about it in my philosophy class, but it was a baseball player who said it. He said it's not what you don't know that's hurting you, it's what you think you know that just ain't so. And I think that's just perfect, especially for people who are like really into like mechanics in golf. It's like, you think there are things that you have to do, whether it's in a golf swing or during a golf round, or you think that this is the way golf should be played. But then the more you get exposed to either good players or people like BC who are telling you, basically giving you gems, the more you realize that there are literally like a million ways to play the game.
100%.
And so like, yeah, like if you go out to the range and spend 8 hours a day, and you're just working on something that's not efficient, or it's not going to help you in the long run, then it doesn't matter. Like you're probably not going to, like some guy who sat on his ass all week might come out and beat you on the weekend.
Yeah.
Even though you practiced 40 hours.
Well, we can have a long discussion about this. I got lost in mechanics when I was in high school, and like freshman, sophomore year, I was playing really good. But then like junior, senior year, I really focused on mechanics, like where my swing should look in the backswing, and you know,
slippery slope,
the plane and the take back, and you know, am I pronating, am I supernating, you know, things like that. I am playing the best golf of my life right now, and I'm not thinking about anything.
Yeah.
It's all feel.
Right.
It's what I feel. It's training my body to be the most efficient, to make the most powerful, consistent motion constantly over and over again.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of people struggle with, is they see these guys on tour, or they go to these instructors and they tell them to swing a certain way, and their body may not be fit for this kind of golf swing, or
Definitely.
or their feels may not be in line with that kind of technique. And so everyone swings it differently. I mean, find me one guy that swings it the exact same as another.
It's literally impossible.
Yeah.
Like scientifically, like people are just made different.
Exactly.
Different dimensions in their body.
Yeah. So feel is such an important thing in golf, and really trusting your feel as opposed to what your coach might be telling you. Your coach may be telling you something good. But when it comes down to it, when you're playing golf and you're in the moment, you got to feel the shot.
Yeah.
You know?
And it's like that, the whole thing about, like a lot of times coaches will say, like there's a difference, like feel versus real. So if I tell you to do one thing, like you're too flat, and then I tell you to get steeper, you might be feeling like you're getting steeper, but you could be doing something wacky. Like it's crazy. Like you said, a lot of really good players, when you watch interviews or watch like golf schools that they give, or golf clinics rather, not like 9 times out of the 10, they're not thinking about anything. They're like, yeah, here, I'm gonna play a draw, I'm gonna play a fade. Like it's crazy because like, here's the thing, I can go back and look because now I know what a good golf swing looks like. I think most of us know what a good golf swing looks like.
Yeah.
Like we know optimal. Like if we go look at the top 20 players in the world, you can see things in their swing. Like you can see commonalities, like not like identical, but you can see certain things, and it's crazy because like there have been many times where I go look back at pictures of myself, like when I'm 10 years old, 11 years old, and I don't even remember like the round I was playing. Like my mom's just like out there snapping shots of me playing, and I'm just in some crazy good positions.
Oh, dude.
I'm like in an impact position, and I'm looking like Morikawa out there. Like seriously. And it's like, that's great. So like, I don't even remember that round. Like I don't remember that shot. Like I'm sure I wasn't thinking anything mechanics. I probably didn't even know. I knew next to nothing about mechanics in that day. I was basically back in those days. I was like watching Tiger and like just trying to swing like Tiger, and not like technically like Tiger, but I was just like out there feeling like Tiger and just swinging the way, like I would just like look at the hole and swing. And then it's crazy. So like I often think about like if I didn't have any like thought about mechanics like my entire golf career, how much better. I feel like I'd be a lot better.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, I want to touch on your thought there, feel versus real. Mm-hmm. I really think that that's one of the keys to golf, at least in the physical sense, not in the mental sense, but you need to be in tune with your body and where it's at in your golf swing. You need to be in balance, and you need to be in control of your positions. So if I swing a certain way, then whatever the swing looks like on camera, that's what I felt. You know, if I try to swing flatter, I need to be able to feel that in the golf swing, and it needs to correlate to what's being seen on video. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that doesn't happen. And that's where golf gets immensely more difficult, you know, because then you're just lost. You're absolutely lost. Yeah,
and then like there's so many factors. Like you go to the range and you take a video of your swing, and you're like, oh, something's off in my takeaway. So I'm gonna feel like I'm doing what I want to be doing in the takeaway. And then you take another video, and you're like, oh, that looks kind of good, but now like the top of my swing's all weird. And you're like, so should I just be like working this and trying to get muscle memory, and then when I get out onto the course and I see, and I have like the ball above my feet and it's kind of like buried, am I going to be thinking about that takeaway move? Like what? Like that's why I say it's a slippery slope, because like if you live on the range, then once you get onto the course and you start having all these things where you have to shape it around a tree, or like it's buried, or it's like an in-between yardage, like what are you going to do? Like, are you not going to be thinking about mechanics?
I had a moment with BC out on the golf course once at Turlock, and it was just him and I. And we were out on hole number 11, which is a par 3, and it's like 180 yards. And I was really working on my mechanics that week because I felt like things were off. And there are times for mechanics, and there are times for feel and shots and shaping different things. I was really focused on mechanics. And I remember I hit this shot, and I'm pretty sure I duffed it, or I chunked it or something. It went probably like 30 yards. And BC looks at me because he's absolutely confused why I would hit the ball 30 yards.
Yeah.
And he goes, what were you thinking? And I was like, a lot. I couldn't pinpoint one thought that I was thinking about. But that is the difference between when players play at their best, they're just thinking about the shot. They're thinking about the shot shape. They're thinking about painting a picture. Yeah. And mechanics are very difficult to put into golf, especially when you're in a tournament setting.
Right. But it is like, it's one of those things where your swing could just be bad. Like your swing could be so bad that like you shouldn't be going out and playing. Like you should probably fix some stuff in your swing. Like if you can't hit a drive without it slicing 75 yards, then you wouldn't go tell that player, okay, yeah, just go play the slice. Like you would probably fix some things in there. Like I'm talking about like literally like if you take a video of their swing, they're coming whoosh, way over the top and slicing the crap out of it. Like,
well, that's okay. So we're at a disconnect now from. I think we have a really interesting perspective because we bring a lot to the table of competitive golf and tournament golf and preparing for things like that.
mm-hmm.
Whereas most of the golfers in the world don't really prepare for golf or golf tournaments. They might
Right.
go hit a bucket like, you know, a couple days before they play a round of golf or something like that. But they're not going to grind over, you know, 3-footers for an hour or whatever.
Yeah.
So you have to play what you have, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like my dad, okay, he's pretty straight off the tee. He's pretty straight in general, but he's short. And he's not the best chipper. But I never see him practicing chipping because all he's going to do is he wants to play golf. So there's definitely a disconnect between tournament golf and then playing golf with your friends and just like recreationally. And both are great. Both are great. Both have their pluses, but
Yeah. And I mean, like, a good example for me is, like, at our state championship junior year, when I played second individually, I was coming off a wrist injury, like a severe wrist injury.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, because I was hitting off mats too much. I was hitting on the range too much and hitting off mats. And I screwed up my wrist, my right wrist. And I literally didn't touch a club for, like, a month. Like, I literally didn't touch a club, which is, like, unheard of for me. Like, I'm always playing around with clubs or hitting balls or whatever. And I didn't touch a club for a month. State was coming up. I wasn't even sure if I could play, but I ended up being like, okay, I'm just going to take some Advil and get out there and play. And so probably like state was like a Saturday, Sunday, I'm thinking, or like a Monday or whatever it was. About a week beforehand is when my doctor said, okay, you can start like chipping now or like pitching. So I went and started to chip, pitch, putted, literally did not hit a ball. I didn't hit a ball. And then I went to the state tournament and like pretty much my best performance, like in terms of just like all around, like ball striking, putting, chipping, everything, like mindset, focus, everything was dialed in. Like I wasn't thinking about anything. I was literally aiming 2 yards right of the target and playing a draw every time. And my putting was lights out because I had worked on putting. That's all I was working on because I couldn't hit balls.
Yeah, that's the thing about golf is it's so freeing. And like when you haven't played in so long, you just go out there and do what you can, right? Like you're gonna play with the best that you have, but you're gonna have no expectations. You know, if you've been practicing, you know, your swing for so long, you have these expectations built up that, you know, it's ready to go. Like, we're going to play in this tournament and I'm going to start hitting the ball better, you know. But sometimes it doesn't work out. And when it doesn't work out, that's when you really struggle. But yeah, like you said, I've played great rounds where I don't usually take a lot of time off, but, you know, I've taken a week or 2 weeks or a month at times. And I'll come back and I'll just fire like a smooth round, you know, smooth even par round or whatever. And I'll be like, man, this is really fun. Like I should just play golf like this all the time. And that's where tendencies and bad habits. And once you start practicing again, you got to make sure that you're doing the right things, you know?
Yeah.
You got to keep your body right. I know I get stiff a lot. I get stiff in my hips and my back. And so I gotta keep that loose when I play golf. But
yeah, and then also going back to what BC said about golf's the only sport where you can practice a ton and then get worse. I think part of that, I'm just thinking about this now. Part of that might be because in golf, there's not really like a defined good shot. You know, like in basketball, you can go practice for hours. A good shot is you make it, right?
yeah,
Golf is like. It depends. Like
it's a circumstantial.
Like you could hit a 10-yard fade, but if you're aimed down the left, it's perfect. If you're aimed down the right, it's in the trees.
Yeah.
So like you could have put a good move on it. You could have had a nice swing, like on plane swing or whatever. But Like is it a good shot or is it a bad shot?
I have something to say on that. So when we were playing a golf tournament back home in Washington at Bellingham, and this was the year before you had gotten here, and I was playing for Stan, and I just played at the home course, which is a pretty easy golf course, and I don't know what I did. I just blew up on the last round. And so I go into Bellingham Country Club, which I don't have fond memories of, and I just absolutely laid a goose egg. Like, it was absolutely atrocious. And on my last hole of the last round, I hit the best iron shot I hit all week. And I flushed it like right over the flag. And unfortunately, it was over the flag. And I went like 10 yards over the flag, past the green, or over the green. And I ended up making bogey because I didn't make up and down from there. And coach saw that shot from me. And I said to coach, I said, Coach, that was the best shot I hit all week. And of course I got screwed. And he said, that wasn't your best shot of the week. I was like, what do you mean? I hit it the crispest. Like, that was the best finish I had. I felt good about the golf swing. And he said, you hit it past the hole. Like, that's not a good shot. A good shot is you put it on the green, you put it somewhat close to the hole. In my instance there, like I was in the middle of the fairway. A good shot is relative.
Yeah.
You know, like I could skank one and hit it to 3 feet. I could hit it thin or whatever and hit it to 3 feet.
Right.
And be like, well, it wasn't a good strike, but it ended up good, so it's a good shot, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's definitely circumstantial.
Yeah, it's like back left pin. If there's a back left pin and you literally like just block one and like hit it chunky, and then you're short right, but on the green, like 30, 35, 40 feet, versus if you hit one really, really good and you like compress it and you're just like, you put a good move on it and you see you're seeing it shape the way you want to play a little draw into that back left pin, but it overdraws a yard, literally that much.
Yeah.
And then it's off the back, 0 green to work with. You make bogey, whereas you make par if you skank it out to the right and 2-putt.
That's another reason why I love golf. It's because you have to play strategically and you have to know your misses and you have to understand where to miss. And I've gotten so much better with that over the years. In high school, I just went after every pin and I really didn't care where I missed. Same thing with like the fairways. I didn't know which side to aim or what I was frankly doing. And but once I got to the college level, once I learned, BC taught me a lot about that. But course management, being able to play the hole the way it's designed, course architecture and design, you should have an understanding of that before you step on a golf course and before you play a hole. Because if you look back at it, if you look back at the hole before you play it, or after you've played it, if you look back at the hole, you can understand what the course architect was trying to do and what he was hoping where he was hoping you'd miss and where's the safe play. Right. And that should always be in the back of your mind when you're playing. Yeah.
And I mean, golf is just like, it's a weird game because you're going to hit. So from the tee on like a standard par 4, you're whacking driver like 300 yards or whatever, however far you hit it, 280. And then on the same hole, you could have a putt this long and it's the same, it's one stroke.
It is one stroke.
And it's like, it's a completely different skill set, in my opinion. It's like, that's why like Ben Hogan, who's considered the greatest ball striker of all time, or definitely top 3. He literally, I read something, his book, The 5 Lessons, The Modern Fundamentals of Golf, which is like, a lot of people consider it like the golf Bible for like fundamentals, doesn't say a word about putting, which is crazy. And it's like, I read a quote from him saying that he doesn't even think putting should be a part of the game. And like, part of me is like, like that kind of makes sense because here, I don't agree with it, but like it kind of makes sense. Like I can sympathize with that because I think a flush 7-iron looks better than a 3-foot putt that someone made, a right edge 3-foot putt. For me, I would love to like keep putting in the game. Like I think it should be an all around game. I think putting should definitely be a part of it. I think it adds to the complexity and the challenge of the game. But I get where he's coming from because he was notorious for being that guy on the range like just he found the secret in the dirt. They say like he just like pounded range balls, figured out the secret, best ball striker of all time. But we're on the street. He wasn't a great putter.
No,
But
he had the yips.
Yeah,
Straight up.
still won a bunch. But like golf, like when you think about golf, you think about someone swinging a golf club and like the art of that.
Yeah.
But like putting's a whole different ballgame. And then chipping's the same thing. It's like chipping's here and here, drivers here and here, and then putting is like
Dude,
tap tap tap.
I've heard those same things, and I actually have Ben Hogan's book, and I've read it. It's a great book. I take a lot of the stuff he wrote about in there and apply it to my own golf game and swing. But I think the great part about golf is that you have all these opportunities to hit these different shots. You know, in basketball, you know, you can hit a jumper, you can hit a runner, you know, layup, reverse layup, you could dunk.
And you put people in positions where they play the best. Whereas golf, you have to play every position.
Yeah, exactly. So there could be like a specialist, a three-point shooter, or you could have someone like, you know, LeBron or
a ball distributor.
Yeah. So, but golf, and this is another reason why I love golf. It's all on you, and I loved baseball. I loved playing baseball, and I loved being like a part of the team atmosphere and things like that. I love that. But I was always pissed if I went like 0 for 4, if I didn't have a hit that game, and we still won.
Mm-hmm.
I was pissed because I knew that I didn't contribute to the team that won that day. And so for me, I need to be, this may sound a little narcissistic or, but I need to be in control of my own moment.
Yeah.
You know? And golf allows that. It gives you the opportunity to hit a good shot or not hit a good shot, and it all falls back to you.
Yeah.
You know?
But then again, it's like what we were talking about earlier. Like you could put no work in whatsoever, and then still go beat a guy who's been grinding.
Yeah, but that's not going to happen most of the time.
But like it would though, because think about it. A professional golfer, PGA Tour golfer, like a good one, he could take months off, and he's still gonna beat me, even if I practice every day.
Well, okay.
Like 9 times out of 10.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but that's different because that's a good thing to discuss. The quality of tour professional golf.
We'll get into that.
It's incredible. It's like insane. The tour level golf is insane, and when you watch it on TV, I don't think you get a real respect for it. You know.
Yeah.
It's hard to. I mean, when you're seeing Bryson hit these bombs, it's incredible to see all this stuff. But him carrying the lake or whatever at Palmer's Invitational there, like the things he can do physically are insane. And to be able to watch it in person is a whole different deal. And professional golfers are insane.
Yeah.
They're at a different
freaks.
skill level.
Yeah. And I mean, so I asked you why you loved golf, and we've been talking about the competitive side of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember one of my coworkers back in the day asked me, because she didn't know anything about golf, and she asked me, but she knew that I golfed, and she knew that I like played competitive golf, and she just asked me out of the blue. She's like, "Hey Luke, why do you love golf? Or like, why do you play golf?" And then I was like, Like no one ever really asked me that, like point blank. So I kind of just said, because it's hard. Because I like things that are hard and I like challenges.
That's a good one, bro.
But like,
I mean, it's true.
It's true, but like there's so much more. And then I was kind of like, I added some other stuff, but like I hadn't really thought about it. And I think there's like another layer to the reason I love golf. It's like the external stuff, like not just the competitive side, which is like how it makes me feel inside when I'm playing, but like also just like being out, like you mentioned golf architecture, like golf course architecture. That's another thing. Like when you learn to appreciate that, it's like yeah, I love the competitive side, but I also love being out like in nature and like seeing like like you're a big Bandon Dunes guy. I love Pacific Northwest golf courses because specifically like the one you remember at Sahali, because
Sahali's legit.
it's like you're in a forest and it's just like they carved through a forest like a golf course, and it's like you're out in nature almost like on a hike, but then you're playing a sport, and then like sounds cliche, but like the sights and the sounds. Like when someone hits a pure iron shot, like the sound of it, or like the sound when Tiger hits an iron shot, it's like you can't even use words to really describe it.
Yeah. Well, I wanna talk about the course architecture some more. I think it's really cool because everyone likes different courses for different reasons. Like that's why there's so many of them. You know, like a basketball court or a football field, it's always going to stay the same. You know, or even a baseball field. You know, the plays are going to be different, but it's the same field. In golf, you have the opportunity to see new areas of the world,
Right.
to appreciate course architecture, the design, the layout, and that takes some experience. That takes some time playing different courses and learning to appreciate those things. But once you do, and once you see like why you love a golf course, it's really fun, and you can appreciate it even more. And so yeah, you're right. Sahali is a phenomenal golf course. I love that golf course.
Yeah.
But, and for me, it's one of my favorites. But the reason why I love Bandon Dunes so much, other than my personal connections with my grandma having lived there in Bandon, and me going up every summer and visiting her, and my dad having a golf tournament every year at Bandon Dunes, and my senior year I went up and played with him in that event. And but other than that, it's just the experience of being there, the realness of the golf itself. And this is going to sound really hyperbolic, but I feel like the course at times at Bandon Dunes, like it breathes. Like it's breathing itself. I know that sounds weird, but
Can you speak on that a little bit?
well, because if you haven't been to Bandon Dunes or Bandon, Oregon, it's really windy there. Like most of the time, it's
Right on the ocean.
Yeah, it's right on the ocean. It's beautiful views, phenomenal golf course architecture, and the wind is usually puffing about 15. Like that's a typical like wind, 15, 20 miles an hour. You can experience all kind of weather conditions in a day. Like when I was there about a week ago, we experienced like hail and rain, 30-mile-an-hour winds, and then sunshine, 60 degrees, and like perfect golfing weather, all in the same day.
Crazy.
So you get to experience like it just adds to the element of surprise, and it adds to the element of you have to hit different shots at different times under alternative circumstances.
Yeah.
And I just love the way that Bandon, it intrigues me. It grabs something of me and my curiosity, and I love it there.
So do you have like what makes a great golf course, or like what separates a decent golf course from like a great golf course? And is there like a checklist, or does it depend on like where you're at and like the type of course, like links, tree line, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I would love to discuss about this like in depth in another podcast.
I know you're into that type of
Yeah,
thing.
but we can talk about this right now. For me personally, I need it to be a challenge. You know, I'm a good golfer, or at least I think I am. And, you know, we played college golf and things like that. So I want a little bit of a challenge. I like the views. The views don't need to be there. But from a golf course architecture standpoint, I want the course to make me think. And that's one of the things that really is most important in a golf course, I think. If you just go out and you walk on a golf course and you're able to hit it anywhere and like, you know, just aim at the flag or aim at the fairway, like that's not intriguing. That's not something that I want to be a part of. I want I want to think about strategy. I want to think about where I need to leave my next shot in order to get to the hole, get closest to the hole on the next.
Yeah.
It's all about a give and take and a flow of where I need to be, where I need to go, and the strategy that the course allows for the specific day. And that's why I love Bandon, because the wind can change and your strategies can change on a whim. You know, if it starts raining, if it starts hailing, or if the wind changes direction,
Yeah.
the holes play different.
So that's also highly dependent on, like, what you're talking about is highly dependent on skill level, right?
Yeah, I'd say so. I think anyone can appreciate a golf course like Bandon Dunes. I don't mean to continue talking about Bandon, although I love it very much.
Yeah.
And so it's easy for me to talk about. But like anybody can enjoy Bandon because it's in a beautiful setting. Yeah, it might rain on you if you don't go in the summertime. It's always going to be windy. But like you're going to enjoy the beautiful views, and I swear you'll enjoy the I'm sure you'll experience this idea of the golf course breathing itself, but those courses are courses that anybody can play still. It doesn't matter your skill level, and I think that also makes up a good golf course. If you can lengthen it and make it difficult for me, but if you can shorten it up and make it playable for other players, I think that's a sign of a good golf course.
Yeah.
You know?
And then you can also just not only length, but like play with the angles too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think I have to say this. I think the best golf course architecture, different golf course architects have different strategies or different focus points. So like Nicklaus courses, their greens are usually pretty small, or they're in sections, so you need to hit good iron shots, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas like a Palmer course is usually pretty inviting off the tee, and it's more scenic, I'd say, most of the Palmer courses that I've played. But like it depends upon the golf course architect and what their goal for the course was. At Bandon Dunes, the goal was always to build like premier golf courses that everyone could enjoy. And I think they were able to do that. The only thing is it gets pretty tough out there with the wind, and people aren't usually they don't usually deal with the tight lies of the golf courses there at Bandon. And but like I said, and Bandon is cool in the tight lies perspective, and the fact that lots of greens run off and things like that, because you're allowed to hit different shots that most parkland golf courses don't allow for. Like you can putt from well off the green, or you could play bump and runs into the green, and you know, your driver might not go as far as your 3-wood. Like really, you know, it depends upon the height of the ball and things like that. And so I think personally, any way a golf course can spark your curiosity and make you think, I think that's the sign of a good golf course. Would you agree?
Well, I mean, it's like, it's one of those things where golf is such a, like, people play it for different reasons. Like some people, like you and then and I guess most competitive golfers play golf because it's challenging, like we've been talking about, and it makes you think a little bit. You have to be strategic. You have to know where to leave your ball, like all these things, right? But then some people just like to go drink and like play with their friends, and like they don't want to be in the trees all day. Like they want a big fairway, like they want, you know, not a lot of undulation in the greens. They want to shoot a decent number while they pound seltzers with their boys, right? Yeah. So like a course. Okay, so now I gotta get into my
get it. Let's get it.
So this podcast, we want to speak to not only people who enjoy golf, but people who are thinking about getting into golf.
Yes.
And I will share with this podcast my life mission.
Hell yeah.
My
let's
life
go.
mission. I've shared
I
it with
haven't
a
heard
couple.
this. I haven't
No,
heard
you
this.
have heard it.
Oh, okay. All right. Here we go. I have heard this. All right. Here we go.
You have heard it. Probably like my closest friends and family have heard it. My ultimate goal in life is to build a golf course.
I love that idea.
And here's why. I think that so COVID kind of like galvanized this idea, or it was like COVID, like I didn't really have the idea until COVID. Maybe that's because before COVID I was still like in the middle of my college career. I wasn't really thinking too much about my future. I mean, I was, but not as much as I am now that I'm going to graduate in the spring. But basically, the idea came to me this last 4th of July.
My boy.
When
I was there.
He was there. You were sleeping when I came up with the idea, but you were
dang.
there.
Okay.
we were in Desert Air, Washington, at one of our friends' places, and so our friend, whose name is also Luke, has a place right on a golf course, and it's like a public golf course, wide open. It's in eastern Washington, so it's pretty bare, kind of hot over there, like a desert style golf course. And I don't think we actually played it, but like he was on like the 4th hole, so we go play like 4, 5, and 6, and then like kind of loop it. And so we did that, and we were there for a couple days, and then on like the 2nd or 3rd day, I got up and I was eating breakfast or having my coffee or whatever on the back porch, which like looks out onto the course. And I was seeing all these people come by, and they were just wearing like not really golf attire, just like cargo pants, untucked shirt, like drinking at like 9 a.m, as you do over there in Desert Air. And I was just thinking to myself, like man, why does golf have to be so expensive? And it wasn't the first time I had thought about that, because like I said earlier, I grew up playing free golf or sneaking onto golf courses because like I wasn't going to pay $200 to go play golf.
It was really expensive for you.
Yeah. But like that's the thing. I started thinking, and then another guy who was there with us didn't play golf, and he was like into golf, Tanner. He was telling me about how he like starting during COVID, he had started to like kind of play some like campus golf, which is where you basically golf with a tennis ball around your campus. And sometimes with alcohol, sometimes without.
Always with alcohol.
And so he was getting into golf. I had a couple other friends who were getting into golf. Like if I went on my Snapchat, I'd see a bunch of like stories of people who I knew who didn't play golf, who were picking up golf during COVID.
For sure, yeah.
And anytime I talked to any of these individuals, they'd be like, yeah, I've been picking up golf a little bit, but like I can't play that much. Like it's pretty expensive. Or like that's like the main thing. Like not all of them said that, but like that's the main idea, right?
Yeah.
So I brought up the idea while we were on this 4th of July trip. Most people were like, they gave me that look that you just gave.
What?
Like,
I didn't do nothing. What are you talking about?
No, not you. I just said other people.
Oh, okay.
Because like, here's the thing.
Well, hold on. What's your thought?
About what?
You said you gave them a thought.
Well, yeah, I like told them my idea.
What was your idea?
So my idea is to build a golf course that is $1 a hole for the youth.
We're gonna have to figure out inflation later on. But
Well, yeah, we'll talk about what that means. But like the idea is, okay, you build a golf course, and anyone who's a student or younger, so going up to a college student, pays $1 per hole. So if they play nine holes, $9, 18 holes, $18, and at anyone else like an adult with a job, it's a little bit higher, but it's still not crazy. Like it's like $30 or $40 for like 18 holes, which is like you can go play golf courses that are $30 or $40, but like they're just public courses that aren't that nice.
yeah.
So this is what I've thought about, and I've thought about it pretty much since 4th of July. So approaching a year, I guess.
We're gonna have a great conversation about that.
Yeah.
On.
So I'm confused because, okay, some golf courses are super nice, like in terms of condition and just everything about it, like a nice country club. and they're crazy expensive. Like you have to pay an initiation fee, sometimes 6 figures, sometimes close to 6 figures, and then you pay like however many thousand a month. And then you get this crazy nice course you can play as many times as you want. And then there are other courses, other country clubs that aren't as nice. And then, but they're astronomically cheaper. Like they're exponentially cheaper. Like instead of 6 figures, it's like $5,000 for initiation. And then you pay like $500 a month or something. So that's like, it's not nearly as nice. The condition is not nearly as nice. The course itself isn't as nice. But like when I say it's not as nice, we're talking about we're talking almost like $100,000 difference, right?
Well, yeah, and I mean, I guess playing devil's advocate to your idea here. Okay.
So wait, can I just finish real quick?
Yeah, go for
so
it.
So to finish. The idea is build a golf course that is just as nice as a really, really, really nice golf course, like a nice country club, like a prestigious country club that everyone loves and everyone thinks the course is amazing. So build that, charge $1 a hole for kids going up to college students, and then like $30 or $40 for adults. And those numbers have changed a little bit since I originally thought of the idea. But basically the idea is don't charge a lot. Charge as little as possible so you can still make a profit to pay your employees and yourself, but like charge as little as possible and have the intention of just letting people get into the game, because there are plenty of barriers of entry, which I have some of them written down, which I want to talk to you about. But barriers of entry are like that term. That's a powerful term, because like literally what that means is some people will never even get to play a round of golf in their life because they literally can't.
Yeah.
Or like not even that. Like I guess you could go play like a cheap golf course, but like no one can like. No. Some people cannot. Not even that sometimes. But some people definitely cannot experience an amazing golf course given their situation, whether they're born into it or they just don't have money for that type of thing. And money's just one of the things. Like I also want to talk about some other things. But yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah. So that is the difficult part about.
I'm going to make it happen.
I definitely respect that idea. I love the idea of building a golf course. I love the idea of getting people into golf, and that's part of the reason why we're doing this podcast. Is we want people who may have thought about picking up the game, but they don't have the money or the time or the resources, or they think that it's hoity-toity, or it's for the rich folk or whatever it is. That's not the case. That's not true. Unfortunately, that's the kind of brand that golf has right now, and I think that it would be really valuable to try and tear down that brand and try to make a new one. I think that it would be difficult in terms of, because those really nice golf courses are really nice for a reason,
Right.
Like they pay their staff really well, and they have lots of staff, and they're able to maintain the golf course well, and they have golf course architects, and they redo their clubhouses, things like that. And so it would be difficult in terms of finance if we're talking to be on the low end of things, but I don't think it would be impossible. I mean, but the whole deal with business or running any business, you want to make a profit. And so I think that's where a lot of people, like for instance, COVID, because all this COVID stuff happened, golf has become bigger than ever. And I have some statistics on it that I'd like to go over. But golf has been huge since COVID hit. And, because it's the only sport that it's one of the few sports that you can play where you can socially distance and not really be worried about COVID. But
yeah,
the point is, lots of courses have taken advantage of that. And because of the demand for golf has gone up so much, the prices for golf have also gone up.
Mhm.
Like I remember before the pandemic, to play at the home course back in Washington, I think on a typical day it was probably $40, $45 maybe.
Yeah.
And it shot up to like $60 a round with the pandemic. So it would be an interesting topic to discuss. I think we should definitely talk about that further. The idea that you have specifically about building a golf course that's very cheap in how much you would pay to play it, because it does have some it has some worries. There's some worries about that idea, but I think the root of where you're coming from, trying to build the game, trying to break down barriers and have people that haven't played the game before, I think that that's a really good thought. And I'd like to figure out how it is financially feasible.
Yeah, I mean, that's like the main thing, right? So this is like the question that kind of baffles me, and it's tough to answer this question without like having some serious connections to like to different golf courses. So if you have a country club, let's just say this country club is 10 out of 10 in terms of condition, and then just like the quality of the architecture. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So like think Sahali.
Yep. Just
Amazing golf course.
Just about. Yep.
Those are the types of golf courses that have the highest barriers of entry, right?
Almost.
Pretty much. Definitely.
Oh.
I mean, I don't know how, why would it not?
Financially, it's actually a little bit different. It's interesting.
I'm talking about like just someone coming to play it. Like it has the highest barrier of entry because A, it's private, and then B, it's the most expensive,
It
right?
definitely is. I wouldn't say it's most expensive.
In Washington.
No.
Aldera?
In terms of country club membership, or is that what you're talking
In
about?
Washington, yeah.
No. So Holly doesn't even sniff it. Overlake is very expensive. Of course, like Broadmoor is really expensive. I think it depends on where you're located. So Holly is located in Sammamish, which is a nice area. But Overlake is located in Bellevue, which is very close to a lot of businesses and lots of hubs for people who have become financially very well off. So that's where they want to go because it's a lot closer to their work or where they're able to transport quickly to play golf. And so I don't think it necessarily has all to do with the pristineness of the course and the course architecture. It definitely does have a lot to do with that.
But like generalizing, the courses that are more expensive and then also private are nicer.
Sure.
Yeah. So let's just
Sure.
say that. Like, don't have to get into the specifics, but just say that. And then say the average initiation is like, I don't know, throw a number out.
It really depends upon the golf course. I know that Overlake.
Let's just take one golf course. Like,
Okay, let's just start with $100,000.
okay, $100,000.
A really exclusive,
Which I
private
think
country club,
is a
which
pretty-
is ridiculous.
Okay, but that's like a pretty good average, right? For like a really nice golf course.
Sure.
Like we don't have to be
Sure, let's go.
specific.
Sure.
Okay,
Yeah.
$100,000. And then probably like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
Something like that. Just throw it like doesn't have to be exact, but whatever. So $100,000 a month, or sorry, $100,000 initiation, $100,000 initiation, $1,000 a month. That's a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you have a bunch of members, right? And then also those courses have a really high barrier to entry because they're private, so you have to know a member to be able to play the golf course. And then even when you know the member, you have to pay a pretty hefty green fee.
Yeah, you have to pay a green fee. Yeah.
A hefty one, probably. Like I remember when I was gonna try and come play Sahali on not a Monday, it'd be probably like $80, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And then take another golf course, like a golf course that just isn't like it's not terrible, but it's not as good as this other golf course.
Okay. Newcastle.
No. I'm saying take a course that's significantly cheaper.
Okay.
Like I'm like saying like look at it as like a spectrum where you have like this golf course with $100,000 initiation, $1,000 a month, and then this other golf course that's like okay, take Fairwood, okay? Fairwood, I think.
Okay, if we're talking about country clubs, yeah.
Yeah. So I think Fairwood I don't know. I know it's definitely less than $100,000 initiation.
It's probably like 10 grand.
It's
maybe.
probably like 10 grand,
Yeah.
maybe even less. And then it's like it's like $500 a month for an adult. Okay. And the golf courses themselves, as far as like the layout obviously is better at Sahalee. It is so much better. But think about that. This is what this is the question that I don't get. We're saying there's a $90,000 difference per member.
So this is what I'm getting at. In golf and business, you're supposed to offer and sell your product, whatever it is, your service, at what the market will bear. So the reason why Newcastle is so expensive, I really don't think Newcastle is that good a golf course. Like China Creek, it's not a very good golf course. Coal Creek's a good course. Coal Creek's pretty good. China Creek's okay. If it was in another location, it wouldn't be as expensive. Absolutely not, because the people that live in Newcastle and the people that typically go around there and would want to play golf in that area are, they have more money to spend. So it's what the market will bear. So that's why there's a bunch of clubs in Arizona that are really expensive because, some rich old folk who want to go retire there can just retire and play this really sweet golf course and, pay a bunch of dues. And so it's what the market is willing to bear. And so that is where your idea would be different from most golf courses and most country clubs.
Right. So that's what I want to know. So the main question is, because I don't want to. Here's the thing, right? It's a simple idea. It's not a complex idea. You build a golf course and you charge as little as possible so you don't go in debt, but then at the same time you're bringing in, people who wouldn't necessarily be able to afford it, right?
Yeah.
So that's the idea. It's a simple idea. There's nothing complex about it. It's not like it takes a rocket scientist to figure that one out. It makes sense. So I guess what I want to know is, so I'm thinking about this in a very non-business way. That's what I'm saying. So I don't care. It's not like I'm doing this because I'm thinking in 50 years, if I build this course tomorrow, if I get some crazy loan and build it tomorrow, that in 50 years I want to be a billionaire. I'm doing it because that's what I could see myself doing that for the rest of my life. You know what I'm saying? We've talked about how much we're into golf and how much we love golf. So why not do that and then pay yourself, be able to live comfortably. But then, so what's that price where you can still live comfortably and pay your employees so they can live comfortably, but still charge a very, very low rate for juniors? I think it's possible.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's something that you charge people who know what they're talking about in terms of finances to do and to figure out, because golf courses cost money to maintain. You want to be making a certain profit. It depends on how many people you have that are staffed as well. And there are a bunch of different factors that go into it. But the idea of making golf affordable is definitely an option. That's something that things like Callaway Golf and TaylorMade and Titleist, that's what these brands should be looking to do, I think, because the more people they can bring into the game, the better. And I don't know. It seems like, personally, I wouldn't buy new golf clubs if I didn't have a deal through our college here. I wouldn't have bought a new set of irons if I hadn't got them half off.
Yeah, they're crazy expensive.
Yeah, that's way too expensive, especially for a college student or, someone not trying to spend too much on some clubs. So I really like that conversation, and we'll have to have a more in-depth conversation about that later. And I'd like to continue discussing a couple more barriers that are included with entering the game of golf. I think that social obstacles. I've looked this up on Google. Some of the barriers to golf, and they're saying that social obstacles are issues to entering the game. So maybe you don't know anybody who plays the game, or maybe just like from where you've grown up or your background, maybe you think golf's kind of soft. It's not soft. It might be a little bit soft, but it's a great game. But you know, there's certain social situations that may not allow you to pick up the game. And so I'm wondering what thoughts you might have on some social aspects, like if you haven't played golf before, and if your family has never played golf, or you don't know any friends that have really played golf, how are you supposed to find out about it and play?
Exactly. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's a huge, yeah. And
What's the move?
Well, also,
is that something that tours should be regulating, or what?
Well, the move is to have people build golf courses that are like dirt cheap for kids. Like that I mean, that's a start here. Like, also, you're saying if kids don't have friends who play, well, how about if kids have parents who don't play and then who just like barely know anything about golf?
Yeah.
Because like they're like the parents have a huge impact on what the child does. Like, the parents ultimately the one signing up the kid for basketball or baseball or whatever. So if the parent has no affiliation with golf, and then they don't know, and then also the kids don't know anyone who plays golf, so they're not going to mention anything to their parents about like, hey, maybe I want to play golf next season or whatever. And then the parents know no one who plays golf. Like, it's this trickle down effect where like, and then that's like part, because all of these barriers to entry that we're going to talk about are connected.
Yeah.
Like the economics, like okay, for example, a lower class area is going to be less likely to have any sort of affiliation to golf.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And then, so for that very reason, a lower class area, that school district, there's not going to be a lot of kids in that school district playing golf.
Yep.
So like, they're all connected.
Yep.
Right? Like what you're saying about kids not having friends who play golf,
well,
that might not be the case in like more affluent areas, because there's going to be like country clubs and all that.
Yeah, well, I'm not just talking about like kids. Like people in life, like adults, like older people. Usually golf's thought of like as an older sport, you know?
Yeah.
Like for, you know, guys that their backs are a little bit tight. I can't imagine playing golf when I'm 60.
Yeah.
My back would probably break. But
it's more of like an activity at that age.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? Like a hobby.
Yeah, for sure. But the issue is getting people involved. I guess you're right, from an early age, and having them think that golf it can be as meaningful as other sports like baseball or basketball, or even more so. And I think that it is, in terms of the person that it can shape you to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Here's another thing that I was looking at. In terms of barrier to entry. So we got one, which is kids don't have friends who play golf, so they're going to be less likely to get into golf, right?
Yeah, or the social barriers, yeah.
Yeah, the social barriers. So here's another one. When we're looking at the generation that's coming up, that like right now, like kids right now who are in like middle school going into high school, or kids who are already in high school, they're growing up in an age where like technology is so prominent, right? And their phones are just like so ubiquitous, like in their lives. Like their phones, like they always have their phone, and everything is just like instant gratification, right? Like they're going to be on their phone for a large part of the day. So if you're on your phone for a large part of the day, that means you're basically seeing what you want to see for a large part of the day, right? So if you're growing up like that, where there's not a lot of anticipation, there's not a lot of like thought about like what I'm doing now is going to impact me down the road. So basically what I'm trying to say is the younger generation is definitely being, they're evolving to be less patient, is what I'm saying. With their which it basically is from technology.
Yeah.
Like the fact that all these kids are like on their phone. I say that like I'm not a kid. but like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, like kids nowadays, like kids, like
kids
not
nowadays.
kids like in middle school, they're always on their phones. Everything's instant. There's not a lot of patience. You're not developing any sort of patience if you're on your phone all day. So if there's no patience going on, or if there's no patience, if you're not learning how to be patient, then you're definitely going to play golf once and then absolutely hate it.
Look, I think that's a whole different concept to be talking about the phones, social media, technology, the way that things are progressing in life. I think that sports in general might get hit pretty hard by that. I think that kids are going to be less and less likely to pursue sports in the long term, you know? Mm-hmm. And but golf is definitely a sport that takes patience, and you know, you're out there for at least 4 hours usually, and so it's not a thing that you do sitting down or in front of a screen, and it's something that takes up your time, so it does take patience. And
but like not only that, like that's definitely part of what I was saying. Like the actual going out and playing takes a long time, but like just getting better.
Oh yeah, sure.
Like the idea of like if I play golf for a year and then I still haven't broken 80, like what I'm saying right now, and this might be speculation, but I'm saying if you take a pool of 100 kids who are like in today's era, and like literally like our era included, like I'm not saying I'm not part of this, but like that group and then a group from like 20 or 30 years ago, I'm speculating that this group's going to be more likely to just go to something else because they're evolving to be less patient because of technology. Yeah. And I think that's something that not like that's a barrier of entry.
Absolutely. I think the next generation is not primed and ready for golf.
Because golf is hard, man. We talked about it.
Golf is really hard. And it's not something that you get instant gratification from. Not even close.
Right. And it's like you're not going to get a trophy for finishing in 7th place.
I got a trophy.
You might. No, you didn't.
7th place?
No. Maybe 3rd place. 3rd place is probably the lowest they go.
Yeah.
But like other sports, you might get like a participation trophy for competing in the tournament or a medal. But that's kind of like another topic. That's like the whole participation trophies are making kids soft argument.
Soft.
Yeah. But golf is hard. People say baseball is hard because you fail 70% of the time and you're still considered, to be in the Hall of Fame or whatever.
Golf is it's even tougher than that. Golf is
99%.
What did Nicholas win like 20% of his tournaments? Maybe. I think that was it.
20%.
That sounds high too. Yeah, right. I mean,
Tiger really high.
Tiger, when he was at his best, he had a clip of, I think he was at like 30% for a period of time.
At his best. Best golfer of all time.
Yeah, but now what?
I'm saying an average professional golfer.
Professional golfer.
Just like an average golfer in general. High school golfer.
95% of the time. 99.
It's probably higher. Think about the average high school golfer. Do you think, in terms of like medaling or getting first place in a match, probably like 99% of them will never get like first place in a match or like a district tournament.
Well, yeah, that's just the numbers. Yeah.
Yeah. Because there's only one first place trophy.
Yeah. And I mean, that's not something that, in terms of golf and playing it long term, I don't think that's something that's important. Winning has its own value, but golf itself means a lot more than just winning. Like me personally, I've won one college tournament. I won that at Willamette, and I've won I think 2 junior golf tournaments, and then maybe like one in high school, like a single day thing. But so it's not, winning is so hard in golf, and that's why I think it's it's good for kids to understand. It's good for people to understand that there's always going to be someone better than them, or it's very difficult to outcompete everybody in something, you know? And that's another reason why I really like it, because it makes you humble, makes you realize where you're at.
I think it's just, I mean, after this, we'll stop talking about how hard golf is, but like
it's really hard.
Golf in general, like kind of what we were talking about before, like the harder you try, the harder it gets, in my opinion.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. When I was first starting out, and I was like a 25 handicap probably when I was like 12, and I worked really hard for a year, and I remember I got down to like a 6 handicap, and I was like fired up. I mean, that's a lot of strokes to drop over 1 year. And then I think 2 years later, I became a scratch golfer, and then it basically plateaued. I mean, at my best, I've been a +2. Like, that's when I'm playing really well. I'm playing really well right now. I think I could be, better than that if I got the opportunity to play. But the point is, it gets really difficult when you get down. There's a lot of scratch golfers out there.
Yeah.
But it's difficult to get to that +3, +4, stud status.
And it's like you're gonna feel like shit a lot if you pursue like competitive golf.
Yeah.
Whereas like you said, like if you play on a baseball team and you're having a terrible season at the plate, but your team's doing well, like you might still feel bad because you're not playing well, but like at the end of the day, your team is like 8-2, and like you're feeling definitely better than if you were to just go miscut, as a golfer, because like there's no one that you can't call someone off the bench.
Yeah.
Like it's a good metaphor for like just life in general. Like golf, it's just inevitable, and like we know this as golfers that you're like I just said, you're gonna fail like 99% of the time.
Yeah, that's basic.
But you just learn how to put up with it. And like that's the same thing with just life in general. Like you're going to fail a lot.
For sure, absolutely.
So it's like you're failing in golf, and then you kind of learn how to fail, and then you learn how to bounce back. Yeah. And then you learn all these things, and it's like you learn things from trying to pursue tasks that are hard. Yeah. And like that's golf. It's hard.
Yeah. And can I say something to that point? Another barrier to entry is people's concern for failure.
Exactly.
I think
their tolerance for failure.
Yeah, exactly. And I have seen so many people just starting out in the game of golf, not able to hit the golf ball at first. And they're so frustrated because they see me or you or anyone who's been playing for a while, like hitting the ball and being able to move it both ways or whatever the case is. And then they're having just a hard time hitting the ball and making contact. Yeah. And like, I've been there. Like
we all have. Everyone has.
Exactly. And so for people who are interested in golf or want to entertain the idea of playing or giving it a try, understand that there's going to be embarrassment, there's going to be setbacks, there's going to be moments that weren't what you expected. Yeah. And it's hard, but it is worth it if you stick with it and you take lessons and you learn a little bit about the game. And and I want to say this, everyone gets embarrassed playing golf. Everyone screws up and has a moment where they're like, man, I wish I hadn't screwed that up. But the reality is no one really remembers, right? No one really remembers those moments where you've just absolutely blown it, because no one really cares. Yeah. Because they're all concerned about themselves, right? They're concerned about their own game. Like we've played so many games together, and how many times have I like missed a putt on the last hole? Or you missed a putt on the last hole?
Well, that rarely happens.
Oh yeah, of course not. But anyways, but like moments happen where it's like, man, I wish I had that one. And then there's like these clutch moments where you strive, and those are the moments that you try to hold on to. But everyone screws up in golf, and they hit the weirdest shots at times, and That's why golf's cool too. Remember when Bryson at the Players, like a week ago,
Bryson
DeChambeau, sorry,
Yeah.
full name, just straight up topped a ball.
Yeah.
Remember watching that?
Uh-huh.
And people do that all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
and here's a pro golfer who's getting paid millions of dollars to do this,
Mm-hmm.
who's a stud and like the talk of the town, and he
Yeah.
just straight tops a ball.
Yeah.
That's literally golf, and it's okay.
Yeah. And I think like something that I've learned, at least, not only from golf, but just like from school, from a lot of things, like the lower like the valleys are, like the lower the lows are, then like the better the highs feel. So like if you're not playing well and you're just feeling embarrassed, like you're feeling like everyone's looking at you and going like, man, this guy sucks. Like, why is this guy here? Like,
I've been there.
if you're feeling that, like that's a powerful thing to be feeling. But then once like you go play well in a tournament, finish like top 5 or something, then like that peak or like that high just feels like amazing. Like it feels like it feels so much better since there was like that low. But like if you never really have that struggle, then it's just going like this. So the highs aren't really going to feel like it. It's just kind of like flatline. Yeah. Like you're just living comfortably.
Yeah. But you have to be okay with that. You have to be okay with the fact that the number of lows that happen the lows are going to outweigh the highs.
Well, that's a skill too. Like something you said about everyone starts somewhere. Like you're saying, like people who start, like they just like can barely make contact, and then they're like looking at you who's played for years, and just like, damn, like that guy's so good compared to me. Like I'm embarrassed, blah blah blah. Like learning to be okay with that and then pushing through that is like a skill. Like think about like if you're in a class, like a college class, and it's tough, and the professor's just making everything sound so simple. It's like, yeah, they've been literally studying this for 25 years. That's longer than you've been alive. Yeah. Like that's a skill that you learn. That's just one of the many skills you learn from golf. Yeah. Like there's that learning curve, and then there's the curve of getting better, and then the better you get, the harder it is to keep getting better. Like there's lots of scratch golfers. Yep. Like it's easy to go from 100 to 90.
Well, there's not a lot of scratch golfers. I want to clear that up. There's not a lot.
But like it's easiest to go from 100 to 90, a little bit harder, but still pretty easy, 90 to 80. And then the toughest to go to 80 to 72. And then the toughest, like you're on tour going from 72 to 68, like average, you know? Yeah. Oh, yeah. So what other, so for barriers of entry, we've talked about social. We talked about this generation less tolerance for like failing or suffering or however you want to say it.
Yeah, potential embarrassment.
Yeah, less of a tolerance for that. Yeah. What else do you got?
Time. Time's a big one. I think nowadays people are very what's the word? They're not
they're busy.
Well, they're busy, but I'd say that people are less tolerant for things that take a longer period of time.
Oh yeah, for sure.
The attention span of individuals is
it's not very long. Goes with the patience thing.
It goes exactly with the patience. Right. So people don't have time, or they don't want to be engaged in something for 4 or 5 hours.
Or they feel like they're wasting time.
Yeah, sure. Right.
Because all these things we're talking about, like the skills you learn from golf, you don't just learn it. Like you don't just go play golf and learn them. It's like over years. Yeah. It's like looking back at it. Yeah. It's like, but like we've been out there, we spent like thousands of hours just like playing golf, not really thinking like, oh, I'm playing golf, so it's going to help me in the future. It's going to help me learn all these skills. It's like you just play golf because you like to play. Yeah.
And I think it's the time aspect. And that's why we've had conversations about this before, about the idea of just playing 9 holes. Yeah. And having a 9-hole golf course or something like that, where you can go out there and it only takes 2 hours, and you maybe design the golf course so that it's a little bit easier to walk, or the pace is a little bit quicker. Mm-hmm. And I think pace of play is a big thing in golf as well. I cannot stand. I cannot stand slow golfers, man. It just ticks me off. And
Yeah. Amen.
it's because everyone's playing golf. Everyone's playing. Everyone's trying to play at a reasonable pace so they can get done with their day. Some people act like it's just a, casual stroll on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
And so that's an issue. And I think it's an issue specifically, or I think it's an issue with people who are just starting the game as well. Because people who are just starting the game as well tend not to, they're not going to be the best in terms of their game, but they may also think that taking time, like over the ball or like practice swings, is really important, and so they'll take 3 or 5 or however many practice swings they want until they feel comfortable, and then they'll hit the ball. And it takes up time, and I think it's important to understand that pace of play is an issue.
Oh yeah.
In competitive golf,
Definitely.
in just normal golf. Like, when was the last time you played a round sub 5 hours at Maplewood?
I don't go out there, but
Well, yeah, no, but if I ever went out there, it would be over 5 hours, guaranteed.
yeah.
And it's not a difficult golf course to walk. It's not. It's actually a really easy walk, and it's not. The pace of play should be pretty good, but we should talk about pace of play in one of our podcasts.
Pace of play is a hot topic.
Yeah.
It's like, that's why part of my golf course idea is like you incentivize speedy play. Like we've talked about this.
I love that idea.
You finish under 2 hours for 9 holes and you get a free seltzer. Right?
Or if you're a kid, free juice.
Free juice. Free
Birdie
7-Up or something.
Free 7-Up.
So like, yeah, pace of play. That's another thing. Like when you talk about building a golf course that's kind of tailored towards beginners and people who are just getting into the game,
Yeah.
you definitely have to think about pace of play because they're inevitably going to be, not as good at the game, which is going to mean they're going to be slower.
Yeah.
And that's so then let's say you and I go out to that golf course and we're playing behind people who are just beginning. Like we're going to hate the golf course. We might not hate the golf course, but we're going to hate the experience.
Yeah.
Because we're going to be playing for like 5 hours.
Yeah.
Like 5 hours is a long time.
It is not fun.
If you're playing for 5 hours, we're probably not going to come back to that course. So then what happens is this golf course turns into basically a shit show because it's just going to be hacks. It's like, which is fine because they're getting into the game. Like that's the whole idea. But like the idea behind this golf course is you can have people like us coming to play who just don't want to spend a lot of money but want to play the best golf course in the area. And then you can also have people who are just getting into the game and don't want to pay a lot of money. Same, not everyone wants to pay a lot of money to play golf.
Yeah.
But different skill levels coming and then playing. So like I don't even know how you do that. I haven't even really thought about it. Besides incentivize the play, like what do you pick up after 6 or 7 or like 8? What do you do?
That is interesting. I would think that after a certain amount of strokes, yeah, maybe you should pick up. But that's tough to gauge because you are giving when you're presenting a golf course to somebody, you're giving them the land to go play golf and to put the ball in the hole and the whole shebang. So however many golf shots they take to get in the hole, that's what they paid to play. So I think that's some people's opinion. I think that in order for a golf course to run efficiently, in order for people to appreciate a golf course, they need to play in a reasonable time. And that's why country clubs tend to be pretty good, because a lot of those people there are just interested in the golf, playing it quickly, enjoying their time, but playing it quickly, efficiently, and not wasting other people's time. At least that's from my experience. Like if I ever played out at Sahali and it was over 4.5 hours, that would never happen. I would always play in 3.5, 4 hours. That would be the round of golf. But if I played at Maplewood, which is a very public golf course, it'd take 5 hours. And that golf course is is easy to walk. And so that's a difficult subject to discuss. I would like to discuss about it more.
So
when we could both.
What do you think the average round is?
What do you mean, pace?
18 hole round.
Well,
in the U.S.
The pace? Average?
Yeah. Well, what's considered a good pace?
Like good pace is
that was good. You guys weren't too slow, but you weren't too fast.
It depends upon the golf course. Banded Dunes, I refer back to Banded Dunes a lot because I've experienced working there and seen the operations of that place. All those courses are around 4 hours and 20 minutes is good pace.
Okay.
They account for the fact that it's going to be windy. It's a beautiful place, so people are going to want to take pictures and things like that. And it's pretty populated. And so 420 is like a good pace.
Yeah.
I think 420 is a really good pace. 430 is good as well. Anything more than 4 hours and 30 minutes is a buzzkill, because then you're standing around a lot and you're waiting for the people ahead of you to play, and you get out of the flow of golf and you get out of your mood changes quickly when you're playing in that slow golf.
You said, what do you say, 4.5 hours? What do you think is good?
For me, I like a 4 hour pace.
Okay.
But that's not going to happen.
We'll say between 4 and 4.5 hours.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a full-time job and you work, whatever, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, or no, you probably work early. 8 to 4, 8 to 5, whatever. You're cruising home, getting home at like 6, gets dark at 8. You don't have time to play golf.
No.
Right.
Only on the weekend.
So basically, only on the weekend. So you're taking this huge portion of the population who does work like those types of jobs, and you're saying, okay, you can play on the weekend. So that's 2 days out of the week. So I wrote this down because I thought this was cool. There's this new facility. I don't know where it's at, but it's called the Yards, and I saw Patrick Cantlay promoting it, and it's like it has tennis, pickleball, and then it has golf, and I think there's 12 holes there. So there's a 9-hole course essentially, and it's supposed to be it's like Arnold Palmer design. It's like supposed to be like a legit 9-hole golf course, like par 36, and then there's a 3-hole course, so 12 holes total, and it's called the Beer Loop. So there's this little 3-hole course. That's par 4, par 5, par 3. And so you can either go play the 9-hole course or the Beer Loop.
That's hype.
So you would think that the 9-hole course would probably have, maybe a little quicker play. I don't know. Like maybe the Beer Loop is kind of a more leisurely activity. Because like the problem with talking about pace of play is you have people who are out on the golf course for different reasons, right? You have people who are out there playing a match and they're really good at the game. Then you have people who are out there trying to chill and like they're on vacation or something.
Yeah.
So like for us to say 4 hours and 45 minutes or 5 hours is too long, whereas like some people might be in a foursome with they're on vacation and they're just like drinking and playing and they're not that good, right? So like this is an interesting idea because you have 2 options. So this is like you could have 9 holes and 9 holes where one of the 9 holes is like really easy and like kind of more geared towards beginners, and then one of the 9 holes is like a legit 9 holes, like tree line. Like there's angles you got to play and like tough greens and like you said, it makes you think, right? So and then there I mean, like it's just an interesting idea. Like not instead of just building a stereotypical 18-hole golf course, like you could use your imagination, like the Yards, this place called the Yards, and do something like that. Where like think about that 3-hole golf course, man. What does that take? Like an hour to play that 3 holes? 45 minutes to an hour?
Yeah.
Like that's just
max. Yeah.
Like you could do that after work. Like you could finish up work and go out with like 3 of your boys from work, have a beer or two, and go play 3 holes of golf, and then you just played some golf. Like, you can't do that with the typical, 18 or sometimes 9 holes, where 9 holes is at least like 2 hours, 2.5 hours.
That's a good thought. I need to use the restroom, like real bad.
Okay.
I'm sorry. I need this so bad. Okay, so you were okay, you're talking about the yards.
I was talking about the yards.
Okay.
It's kind of a cool name.
That is cool.
The yards. It's like you got 9 holes, and then you have 3 holes, the beer loop.
Okay.
So you could play 9 holes, and then like 3 holes would be like 45 minutes to an hour. So you could do that like potentially after work or maybe even before work.
Okay.
Coffee loop instead of the beer loop. But the main idea is, I'm thinking to get away from what we were talking about, where you have a bunch of like beginners and then a bunch of really good players. You could have 2 9s, where 1 9 is like meant for the to be tougher and meant for the more advanced players, and then the other 9 would be more for the beginners, so you don't run into that pace of play issue.
So you think the difficulty of a golf course will determine the pace of play?
Yeah, 100%.
I don't agree. Maplewood is an example.
No. Sorry. That's not what I meant by that. I answered your question wrong. I meant, so I guess, you have 2 9s, and then one's the advanced 9, and then one's the beginner 9.
Okay. And who determines if they're a beginner or advanced? Does it just depend on when you want to play? Like, I'm just trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, no, I get it. I don't know. I mean, you'd have to figure it out.
So maybe, would it seem wrong if you said, okay, if you're a 10 handicap or better, you can play the advanced course, but if you're higher than that, you got to play the beginner's course? Because like, I'm just thinking about a way to moderate like what's going on, or who gets to play what course, or because if the goal of it is the beginner course is meant for people who are just starting out and they need that opportunity to try things out, and they're probably not going to play the best and they'll probably play slower. If you put someone who is more advanced in that situation, if you took me to that golf course, I probably wouldn't appreciate the golf course as much, because the people that I'm playing behind are slowing me down, and it wouldn't be as great of an experience. So I would want to play the more advanced course. So how would you, I don't know how you'd go about doing that.
You wouldn't, like, to your point, like, you wouldn't have to, I guess you don't necessarily have to do it based on skill level. Like, you could literally say, this court, like, this is like the quick 9, this is the leisurely 9. Like, one of the 9s is meant to be played at like a casual pace. I like
that idea.
Casual pace, rather. And then the other 9 is meant to be played at like a proper pace.
I like that idea.
Yeah.
Because there are golfers who agree with me and you that it should be played quickly, and it should be played efficiently. You should enjoy your time, 100%. That's what I do every time I go play golf. But there's different paces.
Yeah.
And so I agree with that idea of the leisure and the quick.
Yeah. And then what do you think about the 3-hole
I really like the
beer
idea.
loop?
Well, the only issue is with a 3-hole course, golf takes a long time to play as it is. So when you're only playing 3 holes, you're only playing 3 holes. And so you kind of feel gypped. Like, if I were to go out and go play 3 holes right now, out at Turlock, yeah, it might take me 45 minutes, but I'd be like, well, or it'd probably take me half an hour. I'd be like, whoa, I'm missing out on the other, 15 holes.
But yeah, because like,
I understand the idea of having your buddies and you don't have a lot of time and you want to have a drink and things like that.
Well, and you're just used to playing 18 holes.
Yeah, I am. You're right. Other people might not be used to playing 18 holes, but you're only hitting a limited number of shots. That's where something like the range comes into play.
Yeah.
When people want to hit a lot of golf shots in a row, They don't need to be wasting other people's time, or, you know, I guess that was a harsh way of saying it, but, you know, they can take as long as they want to hit the balls.
Yeah. That's why, I mean, there's so many ways you could do it. Like, it doesn't just have to, like, when I say I want to build a golf course, it doesn't have to be an 18-hole golf course.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there could be lots of, you know, there could be lots of things. There could be a 9-hole quick course, 9-hole casual course. There could be a 3-hole course. There could just be a fat range, like a big short game area, like 100-yard short game area. Like, I don't know, you pay $5, you can go spend an hour out there or something. I don't know. There's different ways you can draw it up to where it's not just like you either pay $20 and hit a large bucket of balls, or you play 9 holes, or you play 18 holes.
That's why I like Bandon Dunes so much, because it gives you options. You have a huge practice range, practice area. Now, Bandon Dunes is like the mecca of golf, in my opinion. On the West Coast, I can't imagine a better golf resort than Bandon Dunes, because it gives you the opportunity to have this huge practice area with chipping green, big putting green. You got the punch bowl there, which is another cool, fun, like putt, crazy putting green. And then you got the preserve, which is a par 3 golf course. Mm-hmm. So if you're looking for like an hour and a half to go play golf, there you go. There's a perfect opportunity. It's all par 3s. It's all beautiful, things like that. Mm-hmm. And then you got all the premier golf courses, all with different values and, you know, their own characteristics. So there's lots of opportunity to play different golf courses and, you know, spend your time the way you want. Yeah,
it's a good model for sure. But, like, it is, at the end of the day, it is like a resort.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, so people are there to play golf. People are there to play golf.
Yeah, exactly.
They're going on a golf trip.
I'm thinking more of like it's just there, like in the city. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like you got a tennis court, like there's just tennis courts out in like random neighborhoods or just in the middle of the city.
Yeah.
And people can just go play tennis whenever.
Yeah, but if you were to put a golf course in the middle of a city, think about the cost of that.
No, I'm not saying you put the golf course in the middle of the city. I'm saying that it's not like I get your thing like Bandon, but like Bandon's a resort.
Yeah.
Right. Like so, I'm talking about just like an actual. It doesn't have to be in the city, but like.
But it needs to be accessible to people who just got off work.
Right.
People who can take a couple hours off of work.
Exactly.
Yeah. And that's the tricky part, because if you get it in an affluent area where things are kind of popping business wise, and, you know, maybe the land costs a little bit more than if you're to go somewhere like Bandon, or there's literally nothing out there.
Yeah.
You know, it's different. You'd have to charge different prices based upon the land that you have, and, you know.
Yeah, but the main thing is don't charge a lot of money for kids.
I love that idea. I love that idea because, and it's so true. If I had never played junior golf, if I had never played high school golf,
we probably wouldn't be sitting here.
Well, we wouldn't be sitting here, but we also, I would not have as much of a respect and admiration for the game of golf, and I'm sure that I'm going to continue to play golf. I probably spend a lot of money on playing it, you know, and so that's where golf courses can make their hay, is if you start them young and you have them play and enjoy the game, and you show them the time of day and that, you know, they can afford to be out there. Then later on in life, they can appreciate it for what they had and then maybe give back, you know? Mm-hmm. Like, that's a situation where golf might flourish, you know?
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, it is just a game.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But there's so many things attached to it.
Yeah.
That contribute to the barriers of entry.
Yeah.
So time. I mean, time is probably, time's a big one. I think also one more thing for just like the game in like the growth of the game in general is like just like talking about Tiger.
Goat.
like if you look at the numbers of like when golf was really popping, when golf was like really popular, it's when like it started to get really popular in like right as in the years as Tiger was coming on the tour, and then it was pretty popular in like the mid 2000s when he was dominating, and then like in 08 was like right when, you know, the whole scandal thing happened, and then also you have obviously like the recession that happened, and then both of those things together, and then now ever since 08, the game's kind of been on a decline for lots of reasons, but like this could be like a massive one. Like there isn't really another Tiger in the game.
I agree with you, definitely from certain aspects. Tiger hit on a lot of different things. He was a crazy good athlete. He brought swagger to the game. He was the first black man to win at the Masters, and to be like for him to be the greatest golfer of all time, and for him to also be black, like that's huge for people, for other black people out there trying to play golf, you know, and trying to pick up the game. They're inspired to see Tiger do it, you know, and so I think that's why it also it diversified the game by Tiger showing up, and I think that that's something that golf really needed. But in terms of like a fire me up kind of edgy, excited golfer that Tiger was, which I think that he was back in his heyday, right? Like everyone wanted to watch him play. That's why he was so intriguing. I honestly think nowadays Bryson DeChambeau is pretty close to that, because he's changing the way that people are looking at golf. He has obviously changed his body and his mechanics and become just a power show. Like he's exciting to watch, in a similar way that Tiger was.
Yeah.
And I think that the game is in a fairly good place, because you got people like that. You got Brooks Koepka, who is just a badass by all sense. And then you got, you know, DJ, another great talent, Justin Thomas, who's a stud as well. But you got all these young guys that are coming up and being more important in the action now. And but yes, it has taken a decline since Tiger has kind of slowed down.
Yeah, but like Tiger's brought more athletes into the game though.
Yeah.
Like think about if Tiger never came into the game of golf and into professional golf, like who knows? It might still be like the type of game where you just have a bunch of fat white dudes out there playing.
I think someone would have gotten to it at some point. But it wouldn't have been as quick.
But he was the guy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, other guys did it too, like Vijay Singh. Vijay Singh was all about working out, and he hit balls for freaking hours until his hands bled. But
he wasn't the guy.
I mean,
he wasn't the guy.
No, he was never the guy, and it's hard to be the guy in any sport.
Yeah.
You know, and those only come once in a generation, probably less often than that. So,
right. But I'm saying, like, if VJ was VJ, kept being VJ, and then there was no Tiger, like the game would be in a completely different spot. That's what I'm saying. Like Tiger.
Well, Tiger just changed the money perspective as well.
Well, yeah, but like Tiger turned the game into like an actual like sport. Like before Tiger, everyone was just, like I said, just like all these like fat old white dudes.
You're right.
Like the average age was something crazy. It was like way up in the 30s. Like most people on tour were in their 30s, and then Tiger came on the scene, and he was just like this freak of nature. And then he started working out and getting big, or not just big, but just like athletic. Like he was running like all these like miles and putting on muscle in the weight room. And then like everyone started doing that. And then that's like now you talk about Bryson. It's like the same. Bryson's just working out. Like he's basically treating it like a sport. Whereas like back before Tiger, no one treated it like a sport. Tiger came in, started treating it like a sport, and now pretty much everyone on tour treats it like a sport, meaning that they work out, like take care of their bodies, all that fun stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I think.
So do you think the game needs another person like Tiger,
Mhm.
or do you think it's just like people need to catch on because there's like no one really knows, like like at anytime I say like, oh, I like talk about golf workouts, so people are like, golfers work out? Like
Yeah.
people just don't know.
Yeah, right.
But like all you got to say is just look at like the top 10 players in the world. They all look like athletes.
I mean, a lot of them look like athletes now.
Exactly. I would say, I mean, out of the top 10, besides maybe one or two of them, like they all look like athletes.
Yeah.
Like legit athletes, like strong.
Yeah.
And in shape.
And that's
fit.
Yeah, I think people are, as time is moving forward, and people who are very talented in the game of golf, more and more of them are becoming present in the game. Talent is out there, and people are looking for an edge, and so people are going to start looking for these little bonuses, little edges that they can get against the field, and things like working out, keeping your body in shape, having a psychologist, a sports psychologist, things like that, and eating properly, and now this is coming into the minds of all these guys because they're realizing the talent out there is insane, and so they can't just rely upon that anymore to make a career. They need to think about the longevity of their career, and they need to think about increasing their swing speed, increasing, the overall connectivity of their body, and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, we're talking about barriers of entry. Like, on the flip side, all these athletes that are now playing golf, I don't know what the opposite of barriers of entry is in terms of like the actual word, but like that's what these guys are.
What do you mean by that? Say that again.
I mean, like, so the more athletes that come and play golf and start treating it like a sport, that's the opposite of a barrier of entry. So like when
Sure.
kids see all these athletes coming in, like Bryson pounding balls like 400 yards, that's just going to bring more people into the game. So I was saying, like, we're talking about all these barriers of entry, but like Tiger making all these athletes come into the game, like as soon as, obviously there's going to be like there's going to be a period where like people don't know, like I was saying, most people, when you say golfers work out, they're like, what? Like they don't understand it. But what if they actually started following golf for like a couple of weeks, then they might understand that a little bit more and see that all these guys who are competing week in and week out are athletes. And then that's like, I was saying, like, what's the opposite of barrier of entry? Like promoters of the game, or like whatever you want to call it. That's what golf has going, right? All these guys are athletes, and that's going to bring more people in.
In terms of professional golf, or college golf, trying to get to the next level from high school to college golf, I think that's become a lot more difficult. You got to be an athlete, you got to keep your body in shape, things like that. And this is another reason why I love golf. I think that there's a difference between being an athlete and having good hand-eye coordination. And we've discussed this before. Being an athlete and what that means. Like, does it mean being strong? Does it mean being flexible? Does it mean being fast? Those all might be attributes of an athlete. But what makes an overall athlete great? Maybe they have a mix of all those things, but really good golfers have really good hands and really good feel, really good touch, feel for the moment, like commitment and confidence in themselves, an unwavering confidence in their abilities. And that's really hard to find.
Mhm.
And so, although I think that good athletes will definitely come into the game, I think that this idea of someone who's mentally tougher than everyone else and has really good hands, I think that's going to be just premium for golf still as it goes on in terms of professional golf.
Yeah. So like mentally tough, like it's definitely, obviously it's a huge part of golf, but like being an athlete is such an ambiguous term. Like people can be great athletes, but then never in my, like, cause there's like a like, to me, like when someone says that person's a great athlete, I think about like their physical abilities.
That's what I think.
So like you could be a great athlete, but then just be a mental midget.
Yeah.
And not succeed in any sport.
Yeah.
But you're just a freak of nature and you can like jump higher than anybody. You can run faster, lift more. But yeah, to be a golfer, you gotta be kind of both. You gotta be good, physically, good touch, good hand-eye coordination. And now as Bryson is kind of illuminating, you have to be able to hit the ball far.
Yeah.
So it's turning into that too. And then obviously any successful golfer has to be mentally strong too. So like that's all those factors coming into it. Yeah.
But not everybody who wants to play golf should be thinking about professional golf or about competitive golf or college golf, whatever it is. Competitive golf doesn't need to be the answer for you if you want to play, Think about our boy Luke Frey. Like he doesn't want to necessarily compete, but he wants to go out there and play, play with us and enjoy his time with us,
Right.
And that's what golf is. It's about for the majority of the people out there. It's about having a good time with your friends or with your family. It's about making connections, business connections, or friends or things like that, and. So golf is more than just the competition. It's about sharing a moment in a place that you think is justified in its beauty or in its experience.
Yeah. And it could be something just like where you go hang out with your friends.
Yeah.
That's why like having like building a facility where there's those two aspects.
Yeah.
Is like, I think that's a good idea. It's almost like going bowling.
For sure. Yeah. And people bowl at their own pace.
Yeah. Some people are just out there at the bowling alley acting like professionals.
Yeah.
And then some people are just hanging out.
Yeah.
So
It's Top Golf is an interesting idea.
Top Golf, yeah.
Top Golf. Have you been to a Top Golf?
I've been to a Top Golf, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like bowling, but golf.
100%. I remember one time, the one time I've gone, I went there with my cousins, and I had my golf clubs in the trunk, so I brought them in with me. And I swear, I think I was the only guy there with my own clubs, and everyone was looking at me weird or whatever when I was walking.
You brought
out.
your own clubs.
Well, yeah. I mean, why would I hit the clubs that they have there?
I think that's what I did.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, it's a social environment, and it's a lot. If you're someone who's into hiking or into nature or an experience outside, golf is a great experience.
Yeah.
The Mark Twain said it's a good walk spoiled. Like if you didn't have the golf aspect and you just went on a walk with your friends, it'd be fun. Especially you get a little booze, you get a little card action.
Yeah. And like hiking, there's like levels to hiking. Some people are extreme hikers.
Mm-hmm.
Like they compete.
Yeah.
And then some people just casually go, on like an hour-long hike once every other weekend or something. So it could be the same for golf. Yeah.
But I think that everyone should, not everyone, people have different circumstances, and I think that golf is an opportunity for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish that it was more open and that people could play it for a cheaper price, and that the barriers to entry weren't so tough, because it's a beautiful game. It means a lot to the people who play it, and it teaches you a lot about life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well said.
Thanks.
All right. I think we're going to end it on that one.
I like that.
On that pearl from Benjamin.
What a peach. Absolutely striped that one.
So unfortunately, our camera died out about 11 minutes into the podcast.
That's just a beauty. Missed out on some
So
great
maybe, I don't
expressions.
know, maybe we'll post the first 11 minutes and then just let it ride out on a black screen or something. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Let it ride.
The audio files are intact, so we'll get those uploaded. But thanks for joining me, Benjamin.
Yeah, it was
It was
pleasure,
a
Luke.
good first episode.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll be back once a week. Next week we'll be here in Turlock. The week after, where are we going to be?
Baby, we're going to be in SLO, baby. SLO, San Luis Obispo.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll be coming to you live from Slow, drinking some soccer moms.
And it'll be Masters Week.
It'll be Masters Week.
Yeah.
So I think from now on out, what are we going to pick? We're going to pick one topic per week type thing. So we're going to have a topic for next week we'll talk about.
Yeah, we're going to have topics. This was more of a introduction and overall, the aspects that we might hit throughout the podcast. But
yeah, so maybe next week will be like, I don't know. We'll figure it out.
we'll get it dialed in.
Yeah. Anyways,
All right.
thanks for joining us.
Pleasure.
Don't have any sponsors yet,
Not yet.
but I'm sure we'll be getting some soon.
Absolutely. Next podcast.
So we'll catch you guys next Monday.
Sounds good, Luke.
If we talking hops and chord, I played that too. Cause everything, I do everything, yeah.